Why is it that every single time that you try and stick to a diet or you try and lose weight, you're doing good for a little bit and then boom, you go right back to your old ways? Why does it feel like you're genuinely knowing that, okay, I'm overeating calories or I'm not doing the workouts or whatever it is, right? You know that it's not the right thing, even if you don't know everything about fitness, but you know that what you're doing isn't good. But for some reason, it feels like you just keep self-sabotaging yourself. Why do you think that is? I want to explain exactly what that is and why the hell that happens. So the thing is in our brain, right? So this is the conscious level is the physical world, but the subconscious mind, that's where the paradigm lives. And a paradigm, all it is like a weird word for basically it's what controls our habitual behaviors. Meaning, if I'm trying to create a new habit, I want to say stop drinking, for example, then you try and break that habit, you try and rewire it, so you try to cut it out, right? You cut it out for, say you're going strong 2 weeks, and then boom, all of a sudden what happens is it's almost like a course correct. It's almost like the saying of like being uncomfortable leads to growth. That's what it means. And so your brain kind of gets like scared. It's like, wait, this isn't right, this isn't how we've been doing things. Because who knows how long, for this example, it's drinking. Maybe you've been drinking for 5 years, 10 years, and you've had this bad habit. And then, after 2 weeks, it's going to try to course correct and go right back on track to how it used to be, because it's really like a program. It literally just runs, in our mind. It's a program. And if you are trying to get off the old ways of doing things, it's going to try to course correct right back on it. And so this is, it's almost like, I forget the word, but it happens with planes when, they're going kind of on autopilot and then they have to kind of course correct. That's exactly what happens. And so, I want to explain why that is, because it's just like anything else. Like if you've never, learned how to lose weight and you try and, learn about calories and all this stuff, it's like you open a whole new world when you finally learn that, oh, I have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, Oh, okay, I have to hit my protein goal. Like you start learning these things, it creates an awareness. And so even though right then and there, you didn't instantly learn how to lose weight, now each time, every day, you have that awareness and you're applying it. And so just like, say you didn't know that getting steps is good for weight loss, and that's, the best, or in my opinion, the best tool for cardio, right? So a lot of people, they don't even know that. They're getting like 2,000 steps. And so once they build that awareness, they're getting 3K, 4K without even trying to like do a planned cardio session. They're just doing it in their everyday life because they have that awareness of, okay, I need to be getting my steps in. And so this is the exact same thing if you're trying to lose weight. And this is why it's like such a mind trip, where I'm like, you have to understand that if you're trying to lose weight, and let's say you've been overweight your whole life, majority of your life, honestly, it does not matter. You could literally be, shred your entire life, and then something happens and you lose or you gain the weight, and then boom, now you have to redo this work that it took. And so for some people, it's quicker than others. But for some people, it's really, they're rewiring habits that they've had for their entire lives. And so this leads into, the paradigm, like I talk about. So it's like, what the hell is a paradigm? A paradigm is like, it could be just one thought. There's basically like a bunch. Imagine, I would say it like this. Imagine there's two buckets, right? There's a red bucket and a green bucket. And that goes for every little thought or belief or this or that we've ever had. So just imagine it's like a blank whiteboard. It's just spammed with all of these little, separate two buckets for all the different things, right? So maybe you think, I can't lose weight because of my genetics. That's a paradigm, right? So boom. And then this is how it works. Listen to me, because I know this sounds a little weird. Just hear me out. So if you have that belief that, I just can't lose weight because of my genetics, right? That's my metabolism. Maybe you didn't even believe that, or you didn't make that belief true just by yourself. Maybe it was from your childhood. You experienced certain things that made you think this belief. But whatever the reason, you've tipped the scales in the favor of the red. And so imagine it's like red and green, and let's say, 10,000, for example. Obviously it's way more. We have, so many thoughts every single day, but let's say it's 10,000 in the red and you're at 3,000 in the green. Obviously you're never gonna, shift that belief of, oh, I can't lose weight because of my metabolism. If you keep feeding into the red, like, and think about this. This is like a weird thing to think about. Your inner thoughts actually apply to this as well. So if you're constantly thinking in your head, I just can't lose weight because of my metabolism. All right, 10,001. All right, boom, I can't do it. And then, it's like your inner thoughts, it's what people say and what you choose to believe, I guess. So if someone tells you, oh, you can't lose weight because of your metabolism, and you already believe that to be true, boom, now you're gonna make that even more true. You're gonna confirm that in your head. But if you accept what someone says, like if someone told me I just can't lose weight because of my metabolism, I don't believe that to be true. That's my perception, but that's his perception. And this ties into paradigm. It's kind of tricky to explain, but I hope this is making sense. I want to kind of break it down for you, but we choose to perceive what we want to perceive. So if somebody got on the lie detector test and they genuinely believe that, your metabolism is the reason they can't lose weight, they might pass on a lie detector test, even though it's false. It's objectively false. But because they genuinely believe that in their mind, that's what they perceive in the world, that's true to them. And so it's like this crazy thing that we basically choose to perceive how we perceive certain things. It's like, I would call it the lens, And so this is like a video I've made before where two people can have the exact same day, nothing changes, in a hypothetical scenario where, these guys are having the exact same, shit go on in their day, like to a T. Same name, same wife, same work, same everything. One goes to bed miserable, one goes to bed grateful. Why the hell is that? That's because one perceives to, look for the good and be grateful for certain things, and he ends up having a happy day because he's happy that he got his coffee and he got some sun in, and he ended up getting a workout, even though he had like these hard things going on, just like the other guy. The other guy dwelled on all the negative stuff that his whole day and maybe even his whole week or months is through this negative lens, but nothing actually objectively changed in these people's lives. And that's why it's such a crazy thing. And I honestly wish that people would talk about this stuff in school. Shit, I would have been a genius or a little brainiac if we would have talked about this stuff. Like, that's the thing, and this ties into it, is my paradigm was I thought I was dumb. So all the way from when I was young up until graduating, I literally thought I was a dumb person, like genuinely, like on the spectrum. Like I thought I was pushing like slow, and I'm not even trying to be offensive at all. I'm just saying like genuinely how bad I thought I was unintelligent because of my lack of paying attention in school, my lack of interest. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. I can't confirm that because I don't know if that's 100% true, but I think that has to do with part of it is I really had a lack of interest in, school. And then I had a hard time paying attention, even when the coach would be talking, I always would zone out. Teacher talking, I would zone out. And I just had no interest in numbers and like the math and different things. I really, really had no interest for it. But after I graduated, when I started to get into entrepreneurship, I went from not being able to study and do good in my grades and my tests and all that stuff to studying hours. I still study hours and hours and hours. Literally like so many videos I've watched and taken notes on and implemented. I built, courses, I built PDFs, I built programs, a whole system, a whole process to help my clients lose weight. I have my own methodology, my own methods. I want to talk about as well in a different video, like my kind of vision, my end goal, because it's really not just becoming a fitness coach. I genuinely want to, help the world on a large scale, years from now. And so it's crazy. Someone who doesn't know me from high school or from when I was younger, they'll talk to me like my clients. A lot of them are anywhere from, well, actually all my clients are anywhere from like 30 all the way to 55 years old, right? And so these guys are telling me that, oh, you're so advanced and you're so smart for your age. But to me, I'm like, I've never heard that before. Like, I remember the first time someone said that, they're like, damn, you're like really advanced for your age. I was talking about like dopamine detox, and I was talking about like just like stuff that you wouldn't really normally hear from someone who just got out of high school. I was like 18 years old. So when I was first tapping into kind of this kind of stuff, and yeah, he was like, oh, have you ever heard that? Like that you're, really advanced for your age? And I'm like, honestly, no. And he's like, really? But that's because he only knew me as the person who was already getting into all this stuff, who was already, constantly watching podcasts, constantly taking notes, wasn't trying to do all the external stuff, But if you had known me in middle school or high school, you might have thought I was just a meathead or a bonehead, just a dude that, doesn't really, I guess just not a smart person, not someone who really knows how to articulate themselves good. And I wouldn't agree with it, but I would agree with for what they thought it was, like if you just want to say that, being intelligent is school smart, then, that's on you. But obviously there's so many different, things when it comes to intelligence. But the thing is, I didn't know that. And I genuinely believe that I was so dumb. And it wasn't until all the action that I took, that I proved myself wrong, and I really shifted that belief. And this ties back into the paradigms, where that's called a paradigm shift, and it's a real thing. It's almost like you, instead of working towards this goal and you have this vision, it's like you're looking back and you're like, wait, how did that happen so fast? Because now looking back at it, like if I tell you right now, I'm like, I genuinely believe I'm an intelligent person. I believe I have to be, for the things that I've done and the things that I'm doing, and this ties into the content that I do, the way I speak, just all these different things that I've done. I basically proven to myself that I am intelligent, especially in the fields that I want to be intelligent in. Like for me, it's weight loss, psychology, a little bit of neurology as well. I just don't care to have these degrees, just because it's like I've gotten all my clients, amazing results. Armand's down, he's down I think 22 pounds now. He's not even 2 months in yet. Joe's down 22 pounds in his first month. Isaac's down 33 pounds in 3 months. Sergio's down 30 pounds, hasn't even hit 3 months yet. Junior 27 pounds in 2 months. Like all these guys are getting insane results. And so for me, it's like, I'm not surprised anymore at this point, but it's just like the results, I guess, back up all my claims, and they kind of help my case, because it's like, clearly this guy knows something, right? Like, it's not that I just give him a workout program that's good. I'm not selling a workout program. ChatGPT can give you some workout, plan or whatever. It's honestly not even the meal plan, which all my stuff is so high level. Like, the meal plan, the visual grocery list, the personalized training program, like all these things are very, very, very advanced. But that's not it. That's not what I'm selling. I'm selling a transformation, literally a health transformation. And it's tied into, changing your habits. And how do you change your habits? Back to the paradigm. And so it's not just the workouts and the diet and the steps, because I tell everybody that if everyone, just had to have the information, they would do it already. But to have that information, you need to repeat the information, and you have to repeat it in the mental. It's just like if you were to do curls, right? How are you gonna get big arms? Do curls. You have to do reps. Same thing with the mental. Imagine if there was a way that you could do a way to make your biceps smaller by maybe, like, this is a dumb way, but imagine you go down, you do like a reverse. Let's say hypothetically that made your arms smaller, right? That's basically what you're doing when you're doing all these negative thoughts towards whatever goals you're working towards. So if you want to lose weight and you're constantly telling yourself, I can't do it, my metabolism is holding me back, I'll never be able to have the genetics to lose weight, right? That's like the equivalent of doing the reverse curls, if that was to obviously make your biceps smaller. It's literally like you're wanting this goal, but you're self-sabotaging, and so you're literally preventing yourself from getting it. And so this video is a little bit longer, and I know it might be a little hard to understand in the beginning, but just tap into this stuff. Look up Bob Proctor. This guy taught me so much. I've literally listened to Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life. It's an audiobook that's free. I've been listening to it on Libby, like a free app, on repeat. Like, I've listened to that book a million times, like literally just repeat, because this stuff is so high level, you can't just hear it once and digest it. And I know I haven't perfectly articulated this, but I know that this can help build an awareness on what the hell a paradigm even is. How can you change your beliefs? How can you change your perception? How can you change your habits? And so this is stuff that I really, really, really love to talk about, and I want to make more topics about this. And so please drop a comment if you guys resonate with this at all, or even have any understanding of what I'm talking about. And yeah, I'm gonna start doing more videos like this. I took a little break just because I went really hard, did like 70 videos in a really short amount of time, but I'm back at it. I really love making these videos, and I'm super passionate about this stuff. If you want to, check out my daily operations on Facebook or Instagram, check me out, Gavin Longwill or Gavin_Longwill on